Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today I have quite a few people with me, and I can't remember any of their names that I'll say right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with this young lady over here. First of all, let me just tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the National Day of Prayer, and that's coming up like May 1st,
May 1st.
So which would be like quick, and we want to talk about that. So these are the organizers of that particular operation. So go ahead there, young lady.
Hello, I'm Elvie Rogers with Dynamic Life.
I'm Cecil Jones, retired pastor.
I remember Cecil. He used to buy cassette tapes from me years ago.
We were just talking about that downstairs.
Way back, yeah. I thought you looked awful familiar.
And my name is Paul Mahan. I'm a resident Front Royal, and I attend Dynamic Life.
All right. A lot of things going on. So you had this idea. This National Day of Prayer has actually been going on for quite a long time as a global, or at least an international, or an American, U.S. event. But I think it goes on all around the world. And, it's like they say when they say, well, took prayer out of the schools. As long as there's a test, prayer still happens,
That's right.
So you kind of got the idea that maybe we should participate in that.
Yes.
So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I've been in Front Royal about 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
and my job brought me here. When I moved here, I was looking for a church, and I live in walking distance from the campus coffee shop downtown on Main Street.
Right.
And I used to go in there all the time, and there's always posters of services at Dynamic Life. So I said, I'll give it a try. So I've been going there, and I built a relationship there with the church. And at some point I emailed Pastor Elvie here, and I asked her if they did anything with the National Day of Prayer. I think at that time it was probably this time of year.
Right.
And I just was kind of curious because I know that Dynamic Life is prayer is very important.
Sure.
At our church. So we've just kind of built a relationship from there. So.
Yeah.
And we she reached out to me recently and said, hey, I think we should look into this further. So, the idea just kind of blossomed, and the two of us work really well together, and we've met. This is one of the pastors we've met that's helped organize with us. We've reached out to close to 50 local churches and ministries, and just there's been a really good...
It's kind of hard to say, no, we're not interested, isn't it? I mean,
We'll pass. We're busy.
Well, they are, but I always tell them, I get after them a lot of times. I said, we need to practice what we preach.
Right.
Yes.
Don't you think? And I think so. We need to be doing some more of these type of things. And prayer is so important. And like you said, if it's not, you're in the wrong business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what did you think of all this idea? He brought the idea to you?
He brought the idea to me, but it was coming to the end of my husband's life. And so we had a lot going on in the ministry. And so I know there was events before for National Day of Prayer.
Right.
I remember taking my kids somewhere little, but I hadn't seen anything recently. So we just felt like this year was a great year to take the bull by the horns and do that.
Sure.
So we reached out to the local pastors in the community because we want it to be a collective event.
Sure.
So some people are like, who's putting this on? Who's organizing it?
Right.
All the churches that want to get involved, that will join with us.
Open invitation.
It's an open invitation, all faiths,
Well, how did you get drug into this, Cecil? Because he said he was retired, but once you got the calling, you're never retired.
Exactly.
Pastor Elvie contacted me, and I told her that I would be a part of it, and I attend Fishnet. And Larry's involved in this as well.
Yeah.
Larry's a great guy. I like Larry. So been around here a long time. I remember the day he came.
Wow. Yeah, I went to Fishnet when I was a little girl.
Yeah, well, we sold him a lot of cassette tapes.
Oh yes, yeah.
A lot of years. So tell us what's going to happen on. It's going to be on the 1st. That's a Thursday, right? Thursday.
It's a Thursday.
And about 6 o'clock? Is that what it is?
6.
So what's the schedule, and what do we plan on doing?
We'll kick off with some music, some singing, and then prayer. And then we have pastors from the local churches and ministry leaders. We've got ministry leaders from various areas coming. And what they'll do is they'll go to the microphone and they'll lead in a time of prayer for specific areas, such as the government.
Right,
They'll pray over the schools. The director of Young Life is going to pray over schools. We have General Dorian Anderson is going to be praying over the military in our community. So what we'll do is we're encouraging people to bring lawn chairs and places that they can sit at the event, because when we're going to pray over the specific areas, we'll ask those people to stand. So all the military will stand, and all of us there together will pray for them. So then we'll just go down some important bullet points points.
Right. You know, we have the sample prayer that Jesus gave us, and he
Yes.
told us the points we need to cover.
Right.
And first of all is to be thankful, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But, you know, you should pray for what you want. I mean, and not just be so generalized. It's okay to focus it down.
Yes.
And point it right on a point, right?
Right,
Right?
exactly.
So and I think sometimes we generalize our prayers too much,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, we say, well, if it's God's will to do this and God's will to do that, we already know what God's will is.
Right.
Yes.
So why
Right.
can't we just say,
Yes.
I'm praying for healing? I mean,
Yes.
and not if it's, you know, and we'll see what happens.
Right. We'll
Yeah.
be praying for the businesses. We'll be
Right.
praying for those in the medical field. We'll be praying for first responders. So we have some very specific points, and we're really excited because we really believe, you know, James 5:16 says in the Message translation, when the righteous pray, big things happen.
Right.
You know, tremendous power is made available. So
Yeah.
we're just really believing for a powerful night.
You know, there's a lot of power in prayer, and I
Yes.
think that people need to remember that, and it's okay to pray.
Yes.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
You can't pray too
Yes.
much.
That's
what do
right.
they say? Pray, you know, without
Pray
ceasing.
without ceasing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a
Sometimes,
lifestyle.
sometimes it's all we've got.
Yeah.
And Front Royal is a really special
You know,
place.
sometimes people say, well, I can't pray. I don't know how to do it. You can just
Yeah.
do it. I mean,
Just
it's
do
just do what, you know, just do it in your mind. You can do it out loud. You can do it a lot of different ways. But
Yeah.
I think it's just great. People do a lot of praying and they don't realize they're praying, you know. I think they just need to recognize where the power comes from.
That's right.
And I think that's what the most important, and be thankful that it exists.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
It's been a real blessing also to work with like an interdenominational
Sure.
outpouring of churches and houses of worship here in
Yeah,
town. You know,
yeah.
every kind, all the traditions, and that's been
Right.
really a great thing too.
Well, it's always good to bring people together.
Yes.
And it's, you know, do not forsake the fellowship. You know, as some
Right,
has done.
right,
That's what I
right.
would-
And speaking about prayer, we had over the entry of our sanctuary, push, P-U-S-H, pray until something happens.
Right. Exactly.
Pray until something happens.
Write that down.
And we, and then beyond that, it's time we give thanks
Sure.
for what
Yes.
the Lord has done.
Right.
I remember one great pastor, and quoting him, he said that when he started in the ministry, he didn't have anything. And the Lord just raised him up, and he became probably the pastor of the largest church that's ever been in the world.
Wow.
And he said that he was praying for transportation. He needed a bicycle. And he kept praying, and finally he said it was as if the Lord spoke to him, I'm waiting to get it for you, but what color do you want? And so
Yeah.
you're talking about being specific in
Yeah.
your prayers.
I heard an interesting thing about prayer the other day, and it's kind of, you know, it got me thinking about, so like if I prayed for you, but you're not ready to receive my prayer because you don't believe in prayer.
Right.
So I can pray all day long, but if the person, and I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting approach to prayer, is that you have to be willing to receive as
Right.
well as give. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right.
I never thought about it that way before. I thought, we'll just pray for everybody, but you know, that's wonder why prayers doesn't, you know, kind of lands on deaf ears sometimes.
Right,
you know,
right.
If it, which it doesn't. That's not true. It always lands. God hears our
God
prayers.
hears them.
But you know, well, you know, that person's not ready for prayer, or for us to do something right now. But you need to keep working on it.
Yeah. Well, you pray for their hearts to turn.
That's right.
You know,
Right.
their hearts will soften.
In the gifts of the Spirit, it's always, I have felt that my need was a gift of discernment. That the Lord helps us to discern
Yeah.
and know how to pray, how to be involved in situations, because we always want people out of the mess that they're in.
Yes.
Right, right.
And most of the time, we bring things on ourselves, and God is bringing us through this to teach us some things.
Right, yeah.
And many times, if God answered prayer the way we selfishly pray, the whole idea behind it would be missed.
Yes, yes. Sometimes we just have to open our eyes and look at, I did answer that prayer, but you didn't get it exactly. Sometimes a no is okay. Sometimes no is the answer, right? So,
I've been-
but it's answered.
I've been reminded lately that the Lord has not always answered the way that I prayed, but I have never been dissatisfied
Exactly.
with the way
That's
He
great.
answers.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. But you know, you look back through the scriptures and you look about, you know, the prayers, and then you look how long it took where you realize that the prayer was answered.
Yes.
But then when you look back with hindsight, oh, that was answered way before I thought it was. You know?
So safest way to pray is to pray God's word.
Yeah.
Because His word is His will.
Yeah.
Many people are in heaven today, and some of their prayers are yet to be answered, but they will be answered.
Right.
Yeah, that's
they
good.
will be answered.
Way to look
That's
at that.
good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Well, I think, like I said, it's people say, they don't know what to do, but God wants us to start where we're at, and I think that's, and we'll learn as we do more. So we appreciate you pulling this thing together. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
That's May 1st at the gazebo. Starts at 6 o'clock.
6
National
o'clock.
Day of Prayer. Show up. Be interested. Join the crowd and the fellowship one with another, and your neighbors will be there, and just share that with share your heart with what's going on.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys for coming in and sharing that with us.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.